Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Season 3 of Succession. And this show is taking Twitter by storm. And honestly, I've gotten a lot of joy out of the past couple weeks of hopping on the Twitter after watching the most recent episode of Succession and seeing all the craziness going on. This is the kind of show that just sparks that kind of conversation too. It isn't even just memes. There's plenty of memes. But the thing is, it's like having these conversations and these shocks and like really having such a big experience and reaction to everything. And this was so interesting because at the end of the second season, Kendall, Jeremy Strong's character, takes a big shot at his father and is trying to take things down and take over and bring on this power struggle. And I was only slightly disappointed that the first couple episodes of the season felt like pretty standard affair Succession, which is still better than most television, but it wasn't anything big and bold. I thought it would have come out with a bigger bang at the beginning of the season, especially after the very end of the second season with that speech and pulling the rug out from everything. But really, it's a slow burn of Kendall and Logan here because, Logan has done some dark, terrible things to help out Kendall, his son, over the course of the series, covering up some things, and Kendall is not in a great place. And he keeps trying at his dad, and it just keeps failing. It becomes very obvious that, he's not going to be able to do anything to his father even after his big moment at the end of the last season. And it leads all the way up to such a great confrontation between the two of them. And, Brian Cox is absolutely fantastic in this show. And, it's great that a lot of the younger actors are getting a lot of the attention in this show. Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin and Sarah Snook, and they're not super young actors, but Alan Ruck as Connor has some of his own moments. Matthew Macfadyen really gets to shine in this. Nicholas Braun, who is the young actor in this, they all get to shine. But Brian Cox, there's something about Logan Roy that he is able to just embody, and he's always in control, no matter how much all the other characters think that they're making a move on him. And Kendall and his dynamic, especially, I think one of the big episodes was they had the episode with Adrian and Brody at the beach, and they're going through this beach, and it's this maze of dunes and stuff like that, and the tension between Kendall and Logan just mounting and mounting and mounting. And Adrian Brody was an interesting addition to the show. And the big episode that I thought really stole the show this season was the birthday episode. All I have to say is Treehouse. It's Kendall's treehouse. And all the things like the nervous breakdown and just the places that they take Kendall's character, he is an absolute mess by the end of this season. And they put some shocks in there, tease some things, and you just have all of these things going on with his character. And this whole season leads up to this final episode that is a complete seismic shift of the power dynamic in this show, and helping you realize who's really in control here, but also some other people want a slice of the pie too, and might do anything that they can to get it. And Shiv and Tom's dynamic in this season, there's one particular scene between them that starts off very sexy and sexual and turns absolutely devastating from a character perspective, the assassination of Tom's whole entire masculinity in just such a shocking way. And what they do with Shiv in this season is so interesting because I feel she started off towards the beginning of the series as one of the more reasonable ones, and she goes to some bad places. There's one particular incident that happens, with Roman, which I'll get to, but Shiv tries to take advantage of it in a really messed up way. And she's spiraling, and she kind of taken some lead in some of these usurping behaviors throughout this season, and also flexing some control over her husband, who him and Greg are like the funnest pair in this whole entire show. And, you know, things start very badly for both of them at the beginning of the season, and like Tom seems to find some light, and he has such a great moment of celebration, but then he's just tore down. And then there's one scene between the two of them in this finale that I think is going to redefine what's going to come in this show. And it was kind of sinister. And you kind of get to see another side of these two, who are probably the closest to genuine characters we have in the show, and not quite sure anymore. Because, you know, who needs a soul? I'm just going to leave it at that. But you have Roman and Logan's dynamic, because like Roman is going full-blown villain through most of this season, until he makes a terrible mistake, which memes everywhere. With one meme of him and one meme of Logan just like killed it all over the internet. But these two, their dynamic all the way up into the last scene is so important, because you can tell Logan knows who his like real heir is. It's Roman. But can Roman keep it together or not screw it up for himself? And that's the challenge. And where his alliances lie at the end of this season is very interesting, and definitely opens up his character for a very different look in the next season. Then throw in Alexander Skarsgard, who pops up in a few episodes towards the end of the season, who's just pitch perfect as this like very unique presence in the show, who even Logan is, I feel like, challenged by. And he's such an interesting dynamic for so many of the characters. There's definitely shocking moments of this season. This season, turn it up going into the second half of it, and introducing him to like big names like Adrian Brody and Alexander Skarsgard. But the core cast here, this is Game of Thrones. Like, seriously, HBO keeps trying to find like the next Game of Thrones with all these prequels and all this stuff. They have Game of Thrones. This is it. This is what everybody loved about Game of Thrones in many ways, is that intrigue and that battling and the character drivenness. And so much doesn't change, but everything changed. And where this season leaves you, especially on the last shot, is something special. And if you haven't watched Succession yet, go do it! Get up to season 3. You're going to be really impressed, and leaving you just begging for more for season 4. But those are my thoughts on HBO's Succession. Let me know what you think. Let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.